Hey, this is Charlie from Foray Music. A quick note before we start to say that Amy, Alexandria, Gabe, and I got so caught up in the holiday spirit that we broke our 4 for Foray holiday music episode into 2 parts. On this episode, we cover our first 5 favorite holiday albums each. Part 2, which will be out sometime in the next few days, covers the rest of our list. This was a really fun conversation. We hope you enjoyed as much as we did. Now, on with the show. Welcome to the Foray Music Podcast. I'm Charlie.
I'm Alexandria.
I'm Gabe.
And I'm Amy.
On this week's pod, the 4th entry in our series of best of lists, 4 for Foray from our nerdy little workshop up in the North Pole. Here are our favorite holiday albums, all 40 of them.
So first off this week, we've got a little bit of news. The first thing is that we have a very special guest this week, Dr. Gabe Lewis O'Connor. Gabe is a conductor, professional soloist, and choral performer who describes himself as a daily meditator, amateur woodworker, father, and husband. I know about some of those things. I think they're true. His credentials are serious business. He's got a DMA in conducting from the University of Missouri, Kansas City, and for 4 years sang in the vocal ensemble Chanticleer, which the New Yorker called the world's reigning male chorus. Welcome, Gabe. We're so happy to have you here.
Welcome, Gabe.
Thank you.
We've been trying to get Gabe on something or other for a while now, and we're so excited that this is like the first kind of go when we're here talking about some holiday music. A little bit of business, and that's that after this week's pod and newsletter, which just came out today, we're going to be taking a little hiatus, not because of anything bad, but because breaks are good and vacations are good, and it's nice to recharge and reset. But during that time, we're also going to be trying to catch up on some of the stuff that we've had kind of like in the hopper or like in the to-do list box for a while. So some articles and videos and interviews and all that kind of stuff that we're really excited. And that will kind of be coming out intermittently in the next few weeks. So we're excited to kind of like get going on some of that stuff and to kind of reset for the next, probably not going to call this a season or something, but just the next go of podcasts and newsletters. Maybe changing things up a little bit, maybe keeping everything exactly the same. We're not sure. You'll have to just tune in to check it all out. But I do want to say on behalf of all of us, thank you to everybody who's been listening and supporting and sharing with friends and family. It means a lot to us. We're just trying to get this thing going. And yeah, it's been a really fun fall. It's been a really busy, heavy fall. There's been like a lot going on. So, so it's cool. Doing something like this is pretty challenging.
La, la, la.
Yeah.
Mostly because of the consistency of it. I think, like from my point of view, it's not the doing it one time or twice or something. It's like every week on a schedule, like kind of getting things going. So I have a lot of respect for other folks that do this sort of thing. But it's been really rewarding as well, and it's really cool to get to hang out with all you fun friends. So let's hop into
Charlie.
Thanks, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Let's hop into our list. So normally in the past 4 for Foray lists, we've kind of each made like a list of 4 things, and for this list of holiday music, because I am so insane about Christmas music and holiday music, I was like, I can't just list 4 things. I can't list 4 things. I need to list at least 10, and I need 4 of us listing at least 10 things. And I still had like a bunch of stuff on the cutting room floor.
My favorite I literally loved because you were like, how does 10 sound? And we're like, oh, great. You're like, perfect, because I have 15. You were like, I have so many. I love it.
That was just my first draft too. That was just like off the top of my head.
Gosh.
Once I started like looking at stuff, I was like, there's this album
And
and this
So
album.
much more.
I was like, which sad, spooky piano Christmas album do I choose? I was like, I don't know. There's like 6 of them I like. I can only choose one, maybe 2. Maybe I could choose 2. I don't know. And then I was thinking about all these like tangential albums that are like not quite Christmas or holiday things, but like things like the Bon Iver, like For Emma Forever Ago, like that album is like really like very wintry to me.
It's winter. Yeah.
Like very December-y and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, I could do this all day long. But anyways, this is our 4th Foray for Foray list. And we're going to kind of do a round robin style, going through our list. This is all on foraymusic.substack.com, so please go check it out. And let's just kick it off. Alexandria, what's number 1 on your list? And by the way, this is in no particular order, right?
No.
These are in no particular order.
No
so don't add us.
particularly order.
So what's your first album, Alexandria?
My first album is Christmas with PJ Morton by PJ Morton. This was when this came out. I remember when this came out. I think I was like a sophomore at Miami, and we are just in my friend's apartment, just like drinking hot cocoa and like, did you believe? Blah, blah, blah. And we're just vibing to this. Yeah, like the originals make it seem like, oh yeah, this is just like a regular Christmas song everyone sings all the time. So I love it. It bops. Like everything is a bop. He has like great guest artists on it. Highly recommend.
I love this because there's actually a lot of albums I haven't listened to. So now I have like a ton. Like I love PJ Morton, haven't listened to this album. So, but there's a lot like that on these lists.
I love this album. I love PJ Morton. I don't have much else to say about it. I think you wrote this album. Yeah. That was one of the things you wrote. And I was like, yeah, I have no edits. No edits for that.
I said, yeah, just listen to it.
Okay, beautiful. Gabe, what's your first? Oh, and we mentioned that. So I should kind of give a little bit of like a disclaimer for this. So I made Gabe put a Chanticleer thing on there, and I was like,
Thank you.
Gabe, and I was like, Gabe, you have to put a Chanticleer thing on, like one of the ones that you sang on, because you sang on a few of these albums, right?
Yeah. There was a live radio album from Stanford, and this one, but yeah, that was going to be the very first thing that I said. Is Chanticleer on my top 10 list of Christmas albums? Oh, absolutely not. No way. No. Is it relaxing for me to listen to those discs? Nope. The old ones that I'm not on? Nope. The new ones I'm not on? Nope. Won't listen to them. So yes, Charlie made me. That's the first thing I'll say about this. But it was a wild experience. And I put in the description, this is weird because it's not all a cappella with bearded men singing soprano. We kept the bearded men singing soprano, but added like a whole big band and string section and big percussion section and recorded this at Skywalker Sound. So it was like, what is happening? And major arrangers and like, it was so. For me personally, it was a great experience. Do I listen to it every Christmas? No. The other thing I will say is that Warner Classics put this out, and we had zero say in what the record was called, what the art looked like, nothing.
Wow.
And there were some of the best stuff that we did not make it on the album. And so internally, we made a disc. Actually, Joe Jennings, our director, gave us a disc, and he was like, "Here, just take this." And we listened to it, and it was all the stuff that didn't make it. And so internally, we called that one "Make the Yuletides Gay," and that was our version of "Let It Snow."
Wow,
Love
that's
that.
incredible.
And
I
you don't
love
want to
that.
see the artwork for that disc either. That's not. It's not family
Not
friendly.
safe. Not safe for work. Yeah.
No.
Oh
Well,
my
so
God.
what's that process like? So like you're gonna do this album and you're going to Skywalker Sound. Like what's the process of like learning that music like? Like
God.
far ahead of the time did you get these arrangements? Like was it like all seat of the pants like you're doing it in the time or you had like months to put this together?
No, we had fairly firm deadlines, so we had months to learn it. But the weird thing is that we were used to learning music that then when we learned it, we knew how it sounded.
Hmm.
And we're not balancing our singing with anything. So then you get a full brass section in relatively small room. I mean, it's a big recording studio, but it's not big enough for trumpets. And then you're trying to balance male sopranos and altos with a 5 or 6 piece percussion thing doing ocho candelicas, and it's like there were all sorts of balance issues. And also a lot of us just looking around being like, what is this is awesome. And then this was fairly standard that we learned it as the charts were written. And then we got in the recording studio and the music director at the time, Joe Jennings, who's a musical genius, was like, yeah, but would you sing this other thing? And we'd be like, what other thing? And he's like, well, it needs this other thing. So there was certainly some seat of the pants in the recording studio, but not in the learning process.
Very cool. Amy, well, and we could probably do a whole episode and just like talking about all of that and breaking that down, but I'll save you
Thank
from
you.
that, Gabe. Amy,
I have so many questions.
Amy, what's your first?
My
album?
first album may make some people cringe. I don't really know. I think everybody feels differently about Ariana Grande. I get it. I'll always love her. Christmas and Chill. I'm like, who could not love this? A lot of people probably, but I kind of like the Christmas pop thing. It's like I know it was originated, much before these like Ariana and Justin Bieber types, but they're kind of fun to listen to, like the mid 2010 to 2014, 15, that era, if I can call it that. It's 2 years, but no, I just like I love Ariana Grande, and I think a lot of it is silly, but I always find myself in the car like, yeah, Christmas. No, I like this for the good mood, and I'll always love her voice. So that's my first one.
Ooh.
I'm a fan of Ariana Grande, but I don't know a lot of her stuff very well. And I've heard some of this album before, but it's like maybe not quite like how popular is this, I guess, among people that aren't me?
I don't know that it is. No, I really like, I don't know. I feel like she sort of got to her like stardom era like much later than this. She has some like 2012 to 2016, because I think 2016 was when she released stuff like Break Free. I might be wrong, but before then, she has like a fair amount of stuff that I don't know really makes it into her sort of like well-known discography. Yeah, and then also I honestly haven't shed this album back to front. I thought this song Santa Tell Me was on this album and it's not. But then I was also like, okay, I just have to like, Ari's Christmas album, yeah. But yeah, she does. I think she does have like a fair amount of stuff that's not necessarily that didn't make it into her sort of like pop phenom phase.
I do like younger Ariana.
Me too.
She kind of slays the
Yeah,
entire
she
time.
honestly does.
Incredible, actually.
Yeah.
So.
Charlie.
Rock and roll. So yeah, my first one is a new thing for me, the Spirit of Christmas by Ray Charles. And I know this is not like it's not a new album or something, but for some reason I never like listened to the album. I just heard a bunch of these recordings. So like that Spirit of Christmas in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, which is like basically my favorite Christmas movie. It's like top 3. This is from the scene where he's like sitting up in the attic and it's like cold. He's like gets locked up in the attic and everyone leaves to go Christmas shopping. And he's like up there and it's like freezing. And so he like wears his like great grandmother's clothes that he finds like in like a box. And then he's got that and he's like watching the old like reels of video, like movies from like family movies or whatever. And just like crying. And this is the song that's like playing then. It's like so great. And then this version of Winter Wonderland is from When Harry Met Sally, which is not really a Christmas movie, but it's like a fall holiday movie. It's like I don't know. It's like a September to January movie kind of a thing. But I was always like, oh man, I love that recording of Winter Wonderland. I was like, who even did that? And I like looked it up and I was like, oh my God, that's actually what sent me to this album. Because we had just watched When Harry Met Sally and I was like, oh my God, who did that recording? Because the rest of that movie is all Harry Connick Jr. stuff for the most part. And so it's like, I was like, that's not Harry Connick Jr. I know that for sure. I don't know much, but I know that's not Harry Connick Jr. So I like went and like looked it up, and there's some like crazy stuff on this. There's like some crazy arrangements, and there's like great Fender Rhodes stuff, and Ray Charles just sounds like so awesome, and it's just completely up my alley, and it's like become now. You know, I'd really this year, this Christmas, this is like my favorite Christmas album. This Christmas, I've been listening to it like nonstop. It's very cool.
Wow! Are you gonna get it on vinyl next?
I don't know. It sounds like that sounds expensive, but I might. What's funny is like normal vinyl can be expensive, but Christmas vinyl is like twice as. They're like,
really?
Listen, it's Christmas. This is going to be $60, and I'm like, what? $60 for Vince Guaraldi? Like Charlie Brown special or something, and they're like, yeah. Like it's the last one.
Rude.
Yeah, it's rough. They really get you in the feels. Has anybody else listened to this album at all?
I'm gonna now.
I did not know.
Going to.
Yeah. This is the one. This is the one, my friends. Add it to put it in your stockings. This is the album.
That is a weird thing for your stocking. It wouldn't fit.
Just fold it. Jam it in.
Expensive. Fold it. Fold your $60 vinyl.
Melt it down.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I am next. Okay. So I'm from Houston. I say that a lot, but of course I had to like put some Houston stuff on.
You're wearing the shirt too.
Yes.
Represent.
World Championships. Okay. 8 Days of Christmas by Destiny's Child. Oh my gosh. Okay, so tad tangent. I was at a wonderful like musical theater thing in Boston. And this man, they started playing Say My Name, you know? And this person was like, oh, what group is this? And they're like, oh, it's Destiny's Child. Are they from like 2014? It's like, dear Lord, help me. Help them. Destiny's Child 2014. They're like, oh, is this like you know, I know it's Beyonce and like, you know, Lil Kim. I said Lil Kim is a rapper.
Yikes.
Oh no.
Anyways, back to Christmas. Everybody, all my friends were like, oh my gosh, this Christmas album by Destiny's Child is just like great. I mean, it's not like impeccable, like it's not their best work, but it's like one of the few albums where you can hear each member do their thing. Like everyone's like, oh, you never hear Michelle. And so you actually hear Michelle in this album. And you hear Kelly like do her thing, and you hear of course you hear Beyonce. Beyonce's all over it. But also Solange does some things on here too. So I like the arrangements. They have some R&B stuff going on. They have some gospel stuff. They have like more traditional things. So I think it's a great Christmas album. Like we were like, oh yeah, we're cool. We're listening to the Destiny's Child Christmas album. Look at us, you know, at like 9 years old. But yeah.
Why is it 8 Days of Christmas?
Because they have a song. The first song on the album is called like, ain't this a kiss much you love it to me? You know?
What happens
like their spin on it?
What happens?
Like
we can't go to 12.
They did.
My favorite was that you just went, nee. Like there was like a It was like riffified.
That's what they do. That's
I'm
Just-
obsessed.
poorly.
No.
No, that was purposeful. But no, that's like that the main single off that record is 8 Days of Christmas, and it goes hard, y'all. Like it actually does.
Oh my god.
That answers why the album is called that. I don't know why the song is called that then. Why didn't they do 7? They didn't do like a week. They didn't do the normal 12 days of traditional 12 days. They didn't do like an advent calendar, like we're gonna do
No.
24 days.
I don't know. You have to ask Beyonce, Charlie.
It's creative. It's very creative of them.
They had to be
Very
different.
cool. Very cool. Well, Gabe, what's number 2?
Oh man. So this is one that we do play every Christmas, unlike Chanticleer. John Denver and the Muppets. I cannot recommend it highly enough. Like there's a section where they sing Figgy Pudding and Mrs. Pig says Piggy Pudding? And then one of the other Muppets
Comedy.
is like, no, Figgy Pudding made with figs. And she goes, oh. And then they say, and bacon. And she's like, what? It's like the best because it's like a perfect marriage of all the things that you want from 1979.
We had this. My family
Oh,
had
I
this
love
on
that.
vinyl, so we definitely like played this as a little kid. I have like hanging on my wall. I have like the Muppet Show vinyl, which is like the
Wow.
mana mana boop boop doo doo and all that stuff. But we had this too. If I'm not mistaken, there's like a 12 Days of Christmas thing on here,
there
right?
is.
That like is like very intense.
It's
like
out of control
exhausting,
because Monster does one, and it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
chaotic.
yeah. And this vinyl is too expensive to buy, just for the record.
Yeah. And John Denver is like the classic sort of like Muppets guest, right? Like he was on the show like a bunch and all that kind of stuff. Like
It's perfect.
they were good friends, him and the Muppets. They went on road trips. It's cool. Have either of you heard this album? The Muppets, John Denver thing and the Muppets? No.
Telling you, I have all my listening scheduled out.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be, you have to
There's-
start today.
Exactly.
This is like 40 days worth of 40 days and 40 nights.
Imagine I get up at like
What it
5 a.m. on
is.
Christmas and I'm like, I still have 2 albums left. I'm like imagining myself like every spare moment. I'm like, Christmas.
We can't open presents until I listen
Yeah.
to this
Yeah.
John Denver and the Muppets album.
And I'm like, they said it,
finish
the
my
Figgy
homework.
Piggy Christmas.
I gotta get to the Figgy Piggy part. Okay, Amy, what's next on your list? I think
Okay.
something we've all heard.
Oh God. Well, yeah. So
Finally.
Charlie had this on his list and I was like, oh, Charlie. And because he had so many, he was very generous and he shared this one with me, but we all love this one, I think. But anyways,
The
it's called
season
a
of
Charlie.
giving. It's
This
the
is a-
season for hoarding and then giving.
Yes. So this is A Charlie Brown Christmas by Vince Guaraldi. I mean, I would say I think this is like my favorite of all time. I think that stresses me out to say that. But I just like, I mean, first of all, when you pair it with the movie, it's like the best ever because it's for me, it's very nostalgic. I think for a lot of people, it's nostalgic, and Peanuts is such a I just like so iconic in like the true sense of the word. And I also associate it with family just because it's like been in my family a lot, and my dad plays piano, so like there was that whole thing as kids where we'd be like, Dad, like, can you teach me the left hand of Linus and Lucy? Like trying to do all the like all the stuff. And it's just like ridiculously swinging. Like that's what I think is insane. Is it's like Charlie Brown, and then it's like and they just start like tipping really hard, like in the middle of this like cartoon movie. Anyways, so I can't say enough good things about this album. I love it.
That's great. I know for some people, this is like how one of my friends, Vince Guaraldi, is how they got into jazz in the first place. They're like, oh yeah, Vince Guaraldi's like it. And
That's
then-
hilarious that you say that. My dad literally, when people say they don't like jazz, he asks them if they've listened to this album. And
Really?
they're like, oh yeah, I love it. And he's like, all right.
They're like gateway drug.
First day in school.
Yeah.
Placement girality. No, yeah. This like whenever we put up the Christmas tree, I love playing like O Tannenbaum from this album.
Oh, yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, there's cool stuff, and I think like what's funny is the recording sound of like the piano and the trio and stuff is like so iconically this. Like it's like
Yeah.
no other piano trio just like sounds like this. There's just something about it. It's like a little snapshot of a time and stuff, or like it has such a specific sound. Nothing else sounds like it. It's great. What's funny about that Charlie Brown Christmas movie thing though is it's like super short.
Yeah.
It's like super short, and there's only like really kind of 2 Christmas songs in it or something, right? And the
Mhm.
and the you didn't mention Christmas Time Is Here. Like that's
Oh,
where
yeah.
that's where Christmas Time Is Here comes from, and that's like, oh my God, to think
Yeah.
that song like didn't exist, and then all of a sudden it was like Christmas Time Is Here.
Yeah.
And
That
it's
song can
all
be
over
like
the world.
it can be like kind of fun and happy, or it can just be like devastatingly sad. You know, like
Yeah.
it's that song has like a lot of range
It does.
emotionally and vocally. Rangy.
Yes.
Big range on that
Rangy.
guy. Yeah. I told you I was going to Bogart all of these and like have a lot to say about all of them, but I'm sorry.
not
I'll go
lying.
into my next part of the list. So, When My
Okay.
Heart Finds Christmas by Harry Connick Jr. is number 2 on my list. So, the Harry Connick Jr. like Christmas stuff is all good. Like I think there's maybe 3 or 4 albums now or something, like Christmas albums. It was just kind of like he was like, cash those checks, get it. But this
love
album is like his first Christmas album. He like the thing that I always like talk like anytime I play like this is on somewhere and we're like listening to it, everyone's always kind of like, oh my God, those big band arrangements are like so amazing. And then I'm kind of like, Harry Connick Jr. wrote those big band arrangements, right? He orchestrated them,
Yes.
and it's like, and they're like, what? I thought he was just like this kind of croonery kind of guy, and I'm like, he's an amazing piano player. He was like playing the New Orleans Jazz Festival when he's like 4 or something. Like he's a prodigy, and it's just brilliant. But it's just like, man, I don't. Some of the best big band writing I've like legit ever heard on any kind of a thing is on this album. It just hits so hard, and he has such an iconic voice. His vibrato is like really iconic. There's just something about hear him sing with the vibrato, and you're just kind of like, oh, that's a Harry Connick Jr. thing. I don't think a lot of people could get away with it. Like it's kind of wide and it's like pretty prominent, and it's like very different than what the modern like vocal jazz kind of thing was happening, especially like in the 90s and early 2000s and stuff. So yeah, love this album to death. It just kicks ass, and like his piano playing on it too is just really great. Everything about it is like a dig.
Yes.
The reason I was like, no one can see me unless you're watching the podcast instead of listening, but I was scrolling because last night I literally did a Google search and sent like 7 text messages trying to figure out who arranges for him because I was checking it out and I was like exactly what you literally just said. I was just pretty impressed because it's like he has a voice himself, as you're saying, but then also the writing, like his writing voice is so him too.
Yeah.
So I was loving it.
My grandmother actually hit me to Harry Connick Jr. because she was also in love with Harry Connick. So she was like, oh my gosh, check this out. And I was like, Duchess, you're correct. This is beautiful. Yeah.
I love that.
Rock on. So Alex.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting I'm next. I get so happy because we're talking about Christmas. Oh, another one.
Are we?
So this is another Houston staple, Christmas with Yolanda Adams. I don't know why everyone likes this Christmas with thing. Christmas with PJ Morton, Christmas with Yolanda Adams. Anyways, this has one of my favorite arrangements of Oh Holy Night on it. I think she absolutely slays it. I think it like gives a whole new vibe to Oh Holy Night because I got tired of that song. Josh Groban, I'm okay. Like I don't have to sing it again. But
Wait, that's such a thing. Can we just take a quick sidebar? Why are there like there's a sect of people who are just obsessed with like anything Josh Groban does. He like blinks and they're like, "Oh my god, Josh Groban." Like, do we understand that or should we just leave that and move on? Okay. All right.
There is no understanding.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah, but
Sorry, Alex.
no, he has a chokehold on Oh Holy Night.
Yeah.
He does. Anyways, this album, I think it like she is mostly known for like being a gospel artist. But in this album, you kind of hear like her pop sensibilities, and it's like not too churchy, which I've always enjoyed about Yolanda, and like, so I think it was nice to like hear her on an album like this that's like mainly for like radio, and I loved it. That's all I have to say.
Gonna check this.
I don't
one out
know
too.
this album either, but I am excited to check it out. But yeah, the Christmas with thing is like very much a thing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like an invite. Like, come over to my house. Come have some
Yeah.
eggnog.
Fireside
you-
chat.
Come have a fireside chat.
Man.
Okay, Gabe, what's your number 3?
Oh, number 3. Once Upon a Christmas, Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers. Another one we play every year, and I put it in the same category as the John Denver thing. It's like all you want. It's all of Dolly Parton's little turns, and you know it's gonna happen, and you like, I'm gonna love this, and then she does it, and then you're like, yeah, I love that. That was good. It's just smooth. It's so smooth. And I don't think there's an acoustic instrument in the entire album. Like, I think it's all electrified.
Oh my gosh.
It's wonderful. That's an overstatement about the electrification, but it's wonderful. When you have a song like Hard Candy Christmas, it's a,
You know you're doing something right.
it's 8 days of Hard Candy Christmas. I think there could be some sort of a melding there. Destiny's Child
Yes.
and Dolly Parton.
I love
Wow.
that.
That's incredible.
Oh my
I
gosh.
was just like really quickly looking up because I was like, oh, is there a movie that basically is this album or something with Kenny Rogers? And it's like, I don't think so, but I think there's like a special or something that they did because I'm like, I have a picture in my head of like them up at a cabin or something.
Oh, did they do that later? Like the thing where they make I don't know.
But I think what it is, I think what I'm thinking of is Dolly Parton's movie from 1986 called A Smoky Mountain Christmas. I don't know if any of you have ever seen that, but it's
No.
like,
She has a movie?
I mean, she has actually a couple Christmas movie special things, but the tagline of this is a country and western singer on a trip through the Tennessee mountains runs into a reclusive backwoodsman and a witch. The "and a witch" part is hilarious,
And in parentheses,
and it's a Christmas movie.
And a witch.
a Christmas.
And there's a witch and a backwoodsman, and it stars Lee Majors as Mountain Dan.
But
How you doing, Mountain Dan?
Mountain
but
Man.
who's the witch?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
who's the
not
witch?
finding a
That
witch.
has to be Dolly. That has to be
Maybe Dolly. Yeah, her
Maybe it's like-
character is named Lorna Davis.
No, she
She's
probably
not
plays
Dolly Parton.
both.
Maybe she does worse.
Oh.
There's a character named
Yes.
Jezebel, but I don't know if that's the witch. But Mountain
is-
Dan,
It's getting less and less Christmassy by the moment.
it's very weird. It's very strange. But I just wanted to let everybody know about that. I had a little. That was my thing to add about the Kenny
On the
Rogers
nights
Dolly Parton thing.
that
Dolly Parton, who's twice on the list.
Yes.
is she
Sorry.
really?
Yeah, Dolly Parton's twice on the list. Sorry.
No. Literally, all I was gonna say is that I've been going on Netflix and just clicking through the like Christmas Hallmark movies and watching them.
Yes.
It's like a
That's the
secret. Like I know they're bad, but they're so bad they're good.
That's what I say all
love
the
them.
time.
Yes. I mean, it's like
Same.
so predictable, but it's like everything I
like-
want.
Yeah, it's like your comfort movie. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
yes, I know everything that's going to happen. They're going to
Yeah.
kiss at the end and I'm
Yeah.
going to be happy.
Yes.
Unless it's what was the movie we talked about last week? The
Falling for Christmas?
unless it's Falling for Christmas and you're but what's the actress's name? I'm blanking.
Lindsay Lohan.
Lindsay Lohan.
Unless you're Lindsay Lohan, and then you get a stunt double to come in to do the final kiss. Did did the two of you watch that? Gabe, I'm
No,
assuming
remember-
you did not watch that. but-
No, I don't. I don't do technology.
I don't even. I
It's
don't.
like,
do you,
what?
Gabe, do you have a television in your house even?
No.
No. Okay. Yeah. That's what I thought.
No.
So Gabe, I knew Gabe had not watched the new Lindsay Lohan like
I
horrible
love
Christmas
that.
movie.
Wait, I love that you don't have a TV.
Yeah.
No.
My parents
I'm-
kept ours in an armoire. They closed it away.
That's
Nice.
good.
Yeah.
When we were in college, there was like a TV in our dorm room, and like Gabe would come by to like just hang out, and I'd like turn the TV on, I'd like turn a movie on or something, and Gabe would just go like,
Oh
and I'd be
yeah.
like, what? And I'm like, I was like, Gabe, I don't know what we're talking. And he's like, I didn't grow up with a television in my house, so like if there's a TV on somewhere, it just is like I'm hallucinated, like, or I'm
Yeah.
hypnotized by like the TV. It's like, whoa, there's like moving things.
Oh my gosh.
It's great.
It's still like this. I'm surprised I can hold a conversation right now because it's like multiple
ooh.
little TVs right here.
We're in the TV. It's a movie, Gabe.
It's so exciting.
Okay, Amy, what's number 3?
Hey, number 3 is Christmas Time with the Judds by the Judds. And the reason I put this on my list is because of the song Beautiful Star of Bethlehem. I grew up with like a lot of different types of music, but with my parents and my godparents, a lot of like this type of music, like the Judds and Alison Krauss. And so I grew up with like that sort of like vocal example. And I just listen to it. Like I just love the way that she sings the melody because it's absolutely pure and she's one of these people that just kind of like sings and it comes out of her and you're like, oh, and you just, I don't know. I really love it. And it's kind of sweet too. It's like beautiful star, like that vibe.
Mhm.
And I
It's so
love
good.
this song. I love it so much. Yeah, it sings itself. So
Mhm.
yeah. I'm inspired by I always kind of forget too because I feel like I don't know why. I just always forget that I'm very inspired by that type of vocalist. I get caught up in everything else, but there's something about this type of acoustic arrangement and just sort of a melody being sung. And that's that.
Charlie.
That's that. My next one, number 3, is At Christmas by James Taylor. And I don't know if this is like a thing anybody else has listened to very much, but it is like jazzy James Taylor going to Jazztown. And it's like, so what I wrote here was the straightest tone of all time is absolutely Nailsville here. It's like
Literally.
I just love it. Just is so easy. Like he just is like just perfectly in tune constantly, and he just is like doing it. And then there's all this other stuff happening. There's like Chris Body playing stuff behind him, like harmon mute stuff. It's like it's awesome. And this, and then there's a Santa Claus is coming to town thing, and it's like there's a part where he goes like, now this is getting serious. And it just is so funny. It's just like so hilarious. It's like the end of
Oh,
Santa Claus,
James.
the end of this recording of Santa Claus is coming to town. It's so hilarious and cool. But it's just like he's doing the tag to Santa Claus. He's like, Santa Claus is coming, but Santa Claus is coming. Now this is getting serious. Santa Claus is coming to town, and then it gets like super mellow and chill. It's like to town. Does this like saucy thing, and then he's like, you better watch out. And it's like this big Lydian like thing at the end. It's like sharp 4 is like for days, and it's just like I was like, wow, James Taylor. That was for me. I feel like that last 30 seconds was
James
like
is like, Charlie,
it was
here
like,
you go.
You know me. You know me, James. So it's So I don't know. I don't think it's a super popular album. I actually tried. Speaking of vinyl, I tried to like buy this on vinyl last year, and I three or four different times I found it on the Big Lots website, and I bought it, and then when they went to send it to me, they just sent me a candle instead, and I had to email them and be like, I was expecting At Christmas by James Taylor on vinyl, and instead I got a candle that is not even like a holiday flavor. It's just a candle. Like, this is
It
not
wasn't
cool.
a James Taylor candle.
It wasn't even a James Taylor candle.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Egregious.
And eventually I gave up. Like, I tried 4 times and they're like, sorry, it's like out of stock or something. I was like, okay, well, why'd you just send me a candle? Like, what's the business
Without even an
model here?
apology note.
Yeah.
Ay, ay, ay.
A candle's
Imagine.
heavier than an LP. You're losing money here. But yeah, so I don't have it on vinyl, but I do love this album. And not many people have listened to it, I don't think. But if you like James Taylor and if you like Christmas or one of those two things, recommend.
Yeah.
Alex, what's number 4 for you?
The Magic of Christmas by Natalie Cole. Now, wow. So the only reason why I know this song is because I had a horrific dance solo in church and I had to dance to Mary Did You Know? And this is the first time that this is also the first time I appreciated oboe because I heard it well. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a great oboe solo in the beginning. I was so happy about that. I was like, yes, go oboe. Anyways, I'm obsessed with this record because the arrangements are great and she sounds so good with the London Symphony Orchestra. Like, are you kidding me? She
Wow.
just kind of it's like glitter. She's just like glitter on top of the orchestra and they're just playing so beautifully and the oboe is amazing. And I was flopping around on the stage. But this album, highly recommend. Highly recommend. The oboe is so good. I'm so serious. You'll think I'm kidding.
I'm
The oboe is
literally
played
obsessed.
so well. How
Gabe, how old were you when you had your oboe awakening? Yeah.
I don't know if I feel comfortable answering that personal question
That's
on a
personal.
podcast.
That's pretty personal. Yeah.
But it wasn't until college. I was a late bloomer.
You're
Okay?
a late bloomer. Yeah, I knew it. Well, speaking of late bloomers, Gabe, what's number 4 on your
There
list?
you go. This is a rogue, like hippie album. I don't know if it's hippie, but like recovering. My parents are hippies, so this is where this comes from. It's like a Celtic / folk, all acoustic. This is like the pendulum swings from Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers and goes to like the most intimate tiny desk version of things that you can find. And it was like an annual tradition. So that's why this one is extremely sentimental to me. And it's all like, good King Wenceslas finger picking. Just that's kind of what we're dealing with here.
I dig. The title of this album is a lot. It's like it's trying to convey a lot of certain feeling.
It's like most of my emails. You're like, you could have said that with fewer words.
You just tone it down a little bit. Like, the very warmest, best wishes, Gabe. It's like, well,
you have to add a semicolon to the subject line. That's too much. So yeah, that's what they did here.
I don't know if you even said it. So the gift.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Acoustic offerings for the holiday season. I'll do a dramatic reading of it.
That's perfect.
But who's Eric? I don't know Eric Tingstad and Nancy Rumble.
I don't either. I'm sure there's some like happily married couple from Vermont that love string instruments. That could be wrong, but
I'm
that's what it
imagining
sounds
the
like.
couple from like the SNL skit with the hot tub, where they're like, "Welcome to the hot tub." Do you know what I'm talking about at all? It's like a Will
I have to
Ferrell.
go watch
of
that
course I
again.
do.
Yes.
I'm imagining that couple, and they're like, "We'd like to give you a gift, Jimmy Fallon. It's an acoustic offering for the
I'm
holiday
getting pruny.
season."
I'm out.
Yeah, exactly. Beautiful. I can't wait to check it out. It sounds very vibey. Amy, what's number 4 for you? Another classic.
Number 4 is I lost it because I just was checking to make sure I was right. That the snowman in Rudolph is Burl Ives.
Yes.
So that's where this comes from for me, because like Rudolph is another movie that my family's obsessed with, and we always would joke about how like he's like the dialogue happens and then his mouth will go and move afterwards.
Yeah.
So we that's like constantly a joke at Christmas time. And then also we always bring up the fact that Burl Ives is the winking snowman that we love so much. So to be frank, like I haven't honestly done the deep dive on this album, but Burl Ives is like very quintessential to Christmas for me, and as is the album, it seems. So that is my backstory for that.
I love that movie.
Did I say the title?
I don't think so.
No. But you could.
Christmas Eve. He decided to depart from. Well, it's with Burl Ives, though. He said not Christmas. It's Christmas Eve with Burl Ives. The night
Different.
before. Yeah.
This is the night before.
Different.
So
I've got a reservation the night before.
yeah.
Yeah, Burl Ives to me is really like a facial hair situation. Like that's when I think of Burl Ives, I think of like the mustache and the like a little goatee, like the blonde mustache and goatee thing. I think he had that situation until he was like basically he died. It says he was age 85 when he died. I think it was like blonde and exactly that shape probably all 85 years. I think he was 2 years old and it was like, Burl, what's going on with your face?
I love that. Oh my
Your face okay, Burl?
Silver and gold, silver. What's funny about all that, the Rudolph stuff, like the stop motion-y thing, it's all like almost kind of classical, like quasi-classical singer stuff, like from that time. It's like silver and gold. Well, Rudolph, oh, it's like the sound, like the vocal sound is like such at the time.
It is.
Okay, number 4 for me. Speaking of such of a time, so there's a lot of Sinatra albums to choose, but I chose this very, very early one called "Christmas Songs by Sinatra" by Frank Sinatra.
Whoa!
So this is his third ever studio album. It's 1948, and it's actually like a almost like a greatest hits kind of thing. Because I think like what was kind of more common back then and around that time was like singles. You know, there'd be like an A side, a B side kind of a thing, like the smaller sort of disc kind of situation. So his early career was like a lot of that stuff. But this pulls together like a lot of different recorded things, and like even like it has some like archival stuff from his like radio appearances, which is super cool. So my favorite thing from this is I always play this for people because I think it's just so hilarious. Their version of Winter Wonderland, it's like old school Hollywood like radio drama kind of thing. Like it starts with like the announcer and he's like, and now the hosts of Laugh-In Time, Sally, whatever her name is, and our special host for the night, Frank Sinatra. And he's like, well, hi, Dean, how's it going? It's great to be here. And then he just goes in the thing. He's like, well, you know, the quotes on this are just so amazing. Like he goes right from like this marketing thing, like, hey, welcome to this. This is brought to you by Kendor's Ties or something. It's like shoe polish is like he does this marketing thing right into like a little play. He's like, well, I'm this guy on the top of the roof, and I'm like, and he does this thing, and then he goes right from that into singing. Like there's no,
oh my god,
it's like all just like one breath almost. And so he's like, we've planned a show, playing it safe all the way, strictly loaded with favorites and fun to do. That's a sentence. And fun to do. We've planned a show, playing it safe all the way, strictly loaded with favorites and fun to do. Nailed it.
I must say that every day.
And then after that, he's like,
can you just make announcements all the time?
Like just doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Wait,
And
why
then he
don't we
goes
make
in this
more
little play,
announcements?
and he's like, the scene starts off with me. I'm the little man. I'm the little man on the barometer, and I'm predicting light snow, followed by lighter music. Sleigh bells ring, and he just like goes right into it. And it's like, it's so sick. I dig it so much. It's so cool. It's like such of an era of like this kind of a thing that I think like is very like, at least in my mind, is like a bygone, forgotten kind of era of this kind of thing. But it's so cool. There's a lot of great recordings on it, like some cool vocal arrangements and stuff. And so it's not just this one funny thing. It's like a great album to listen to as well. But that's like, I'm always like, okay, wait, I'm trying to remember what the song is where he does the thing about the barometer and he says fun to do. What's that song? And then I have to go, sleigh bells ring. Oh yeah, it's Winter Wonderland. So I have to go, I have to go do that thing.
I'm listening to that immediately after this podcast.
Oh, classic. I feel that way about like 13 things already, but
Yeah.
Classic.
classic. Okay, Alex, what's number 5?
Speaking of classics, number 5, I have Christmas album. That's the name of it, Christmas album by the Jackson 5. Wow. We all know why this one is on the list. They just outdid themselves. They don't have to. They didn't need to make another record after this. This is all. Wow, mommy! Wow, mommy's kissing Santa Claus, and then blah blah blah. Anyways, I saw mommy. It's just like you have to keep going. Anyways,
You better watch out. Watch out.
This whole album, I don't know. We used to grow up, we had 2 Christmas trees. The fake Christmas tree that my mom was allowed to decorate and we weren't allowed to touch. And then the real Christmas tree, which is like the Christmas tree that the kids could like put their stuff on. And we, like me and my brothers would always like jam out to this album. Like while we were doing our terrible Christmas tree that my mother was like, do y'all have that one? But it was so amazing. Yeah. I don't know what else to say about this album. Everyone knows it.
The bass line on Up on the Housetop or whatever, like that bass line, it's so good. Every year I listen to that and I'm like, oh my God, I need to go play that. I need to go sit down and transcribe it like every year. I'm like, I need to do that again. But that's not like one of the Jackson 5s playing the bass, right? That's like Motown. Because
I actually don't know. They do play bass.
I forget who, but I don't mean to like
call them out.
Give you homework or something, but because I don't remember. Because some of this stuff is just like we have to look it up on Discogs or something.
I'm looking it up like right now.
Great. Maybe while that's happening, we'll come back to you. We'll come back to me. Gabe, what's number 5 for you?
Johnny Mathis, Merry Christmas.
Yes.
So speaking of vibrato, his vibrato is like the polar opposite of Harry Connick Jr. Right? It's like, and it just works because he has the pitch center of James Taylor with like a vibrato of I don't know what, a chipmunk on some sort of methamphetamine, and it's so good. Like I just love it. And the album cover for this album is also wonderful because he does not ski, and so that's like pure false advertising, but he looks so good. And I know that's superficial. But also the music is wonderful. And the orchestration is also of an era, and it just is so, he's special. He's a special one. So I love this album. And I do have this one on vinyl.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think anybody that has vinyl has this one on vinyl. I think it's like
yummy.
But you're right. Yeah, that album cover with him in the skis. I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm in love with him or something, or like I think I'm kind of attracted to him.
Absolutely.
It's kind of weird. Like I don't know if it's the skis or what's going on, or it's just like the
perfect outfit.
The perfect outfit. Yeah, I either want to be with him or I want to be him. I don't know which one. But I've never listened to Johnny Mathis except for Christmas music. I don't know if that's
really?
Really?
Yeah, I've never heard. Any of his
my mom loves Johnny Mathis, so that was one of the when we got our first record player, it was like on the short list of things to get. Other stuff is good too, but the Christmas is strong.
Yeah. Amy, what's number 5 for you?
Number 5 is Ella Wishes You a Swinging Christmas by Ella Fitzgerald. I literally, I don't even really want to say anything. Like, honestly. Because I do, but I don't know. Like, I guess just listen to it. I love it. Another childhood staple. Necessary.
Okay, well, I'll move on since you don't.
I don't know. I just, you know what I mean?
It speaks for itself. Go listen to it.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I'm just gonna like ooh and ah, and we know Ella.
We have heard of her.
Yeah.
Hero.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go on to number 5. while Alex is still doing research. Maybe not.
I am.
I'll
What's
wait
number
for your
5 for you,
cue
Charlie?
to figure out who. My number 5 is Christmas album. Again, another Christmas album, not to be confused with any of the other ones named Christmas album. But this is Christmas album by Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass. And this, I have a lot to say about this, surprisingly. Get ready.
Let's go. Buckle up, everyone.
Another hilarious album cover art where he's wearing a Santa, like he's like Santa, but it's like super close up and he's just staring at the camera and he's playing the trumpet. And it's like Santa is very dark skinned and is playing the trumpet in my face. And he's like staring at me like, hey, what's going on? Are you into this? So Herb Alpert, I have surprisingly like 4. We've been talking a lot about vinyl. I have like 4 or 5 Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass vinyls because I inherited a collection from a great uncle. I was like very into Herb Alpert, I guess.
Wow.
And so like I have a bunch of stuff I didn't really know about it. And I was like, well, I have this record or whatever, I'll play it. And so Herb Alpert was like in the 60s was like this like heartthrobby trumpet player, instrumentally person. Like they were like famous. It's kind of like there's this time in like the 60s and 70s kind of, but I think more the 60s where it was like just like instrumental albums that aren't jazz are just like kind of pop instrumental albums are like super famous and they're super popular and like they sold a bunch of copies. And there's this stuff too where it's like organ music, like not like church organ music, but like the organ that your like grandma had that you could like put on the bossa nova drum beat and like play the flute sound over here and the trombone sound over here, like the home organs people had or whatever. Like there's albums and albums of that stuff, like playing Christmas music or doing whatever kind of thing. Like it's crazy. There's like steel pan Christmas album things. So this is like kind of in that zone of stuff, but this is the absolute best of that. This is like cream of the crop. And it's just, it's really great, but it's really funny to me. It's like a lot of musical jokes that weren't supposed to be jokes at the time or something, but to me are really funny. Like he doesn't take solos, like he doesn't improvise on it really, but he like embellishes stuff basically by like playing through like the major scale. Like he'll be like, like he just kind of like plays through the scales a lot. It just is kind of I'm like God. And that was enough. That was enough for everybody. I mean, he sounds good, like he has a good tone and stuff, but it's just kind of like even on slow songs, you know, it'd be like Silent Night. It just is. It's like so out of nowhere. Completely.
Oh my gosh!
And then there's all this like vocal stuff. There's this choir thing, and they're doing this like weird kind of swingle singers-y kind of like. He's like something will start like a ballad, like very soft, chill choral thing, and then it's like. There's like this like weird little drum thing, like and he's like, like it's just like I'm like, what?
What's happening?
I had no idea that was gonna happen. So it's just kind of fun. It's funny. There's pretty moments. There's like crazy moments. Definitely recommend to check out. It will like it. I promise you will be surprised. I don't know if you'll like it, but I promise you'll be surprised by this Herb Alpert album.
Oh my gosh.
Alexandria.
They were uncertain of the bass player because Motown was Motown, but they said it's likely Wilton Felder, and guess where he's from? Houston, Texas.
Houston. Baby.
Anyways, I didn't know he played it on he played on like I Want You Back and ABC and like the Marvin Gaye, a bunch of Marvin Gaye stuff. Anyways,
I think when you see videos of the Jackson 5, it's like, I don't know if it's Tito or whoever, like one of the brothers or whatever, like playing the bass. But sometimes there'll even be like another bass player behind them, you know? And I think it's just kind of like, well, you know, this is kind of part of our thing. And like maybe it started off then, and then it was like Motown, and they're like, we have this bass player who's like literally the greatest bass player of all time. And he's just here. Like we just pay him. He's just here and he can make everything sound good. So we just do that. And then when you play on the TV,
yeah, like you look pretty.
You do this thing and look.
And you dance.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
dance. That's part 1 of our holiday music episode. We'll see you in a few days for part 2. Thanks so much for listening. Quote, or do we have a quote for this week, Alex? Or
Happy
saying?
holidays.
Happy holidays. Okay.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Should it be happy holidays question mark?
In parentheses.
Happy
Like
holidays.
parentheses.
Which
Happy
part?
holidays. You know?
No. Okay, so
Okay, never
here-
mind. Charlie that did not land.